The deafening crack of a bullet whistling past her ear sent Sophia Warren diving for cover behind an overturned wagon, her breath coming in terrified gasps as the stagecoach robbery unfolded around her. It was 1875 in the Arizona Territory, and this was decidedly not how she had envisioned her journey west would begin. Sophia's chestnut hair had come loose from its careful arrangement, dust coating the blue traveling dress she'd purchased specifically for this trip. At 22, she had left behind everything familiar in Boston following her parents' deaths, answering an advertisement from her distant cousin offering work as a schoolteacher in the growing town of Whispering Pines. "Hand over the strongbox and nobody else gets hurt," shouted a masked bandit, his gun trained on the driver. The stagecoach guard lay motionless in the dirt, blood seeping from a wound in his shoulder. The other passengers, an elderly couple and a traveling salesman, huddled together opposite Sophia, terror evident in their wide eyes. A thundering of hooves interrupted the standoff as three riders appeared over the ridge. The lead rider, tall and imposing on his massive black stallion, drew his revolver with lightning speed. "I suggest you boys reconsider." His deep voice carried across the distance with unmistakable authority. The bandits exchanged uncertain glances before the leader sneered. "This ain't your business, Quinn. You're robbing folks on Whispering Pines land. That makes it my business." What happened next unfolded in a blur of gunfire and shouting. The bandits scattered, one clutching a bleeding arm as they retreated into the scrubby hills. The newcomers approached the overturned stagecoach, and Sophia found herself looking up into the most piercing blue eyes she had ever seen. "Madam, are you hurt?" The man dismounted in one fluid motion, removing his hat to reveal sun-streaked brown hair. His face was weathered by sun and wind, but Sophia guessed he wasn't much past 30. "No, I'm quite all right," she managed, accepting his outstretched hand. His grip was firm and calloused as he helped her to her feet. "Thank you, Mr. Forrest Quinn," he replied, releasing her hand and settling his hat back on his head. "Own the Triple Q Ranch outside of town." His gaze swept over the wreckage. "Looks like you folks will need a ride in. We're heading that way." Within the hour, Sophia found herself seated beside Forrest Quinn in his wagon, her single trunk secured in the back, along with the elderly couple's belongings. His ranch hands had taken the injured guard and the salesman ahead to town for medical attention. "You're new to these parts," Forrest observed as they traveled the rutted road toward Whispering Pines. It wasn't a question. "Yes, I'm to be the new schoolteacher. My cousin, Martha Hendricks, arranged the position." A flicker of recognition passed across his face. "Martha's your kin? Good woman. Town's been needing a proper teacher since old Mrs. Fletcher passed last winter." The elderly gentleman, who had introduced himself as Mr. Perkins, leaned forward from the back seat. "This territory isn't Boston, Miss Warren. You'll find life here requires a certain adaptability." "I'm prepared for hardship, Mr. Perkins," Sophia replied, straightening her spine despite her exhaustion. "My parents didn't raise me to shy away from challenges." She thought she caught a hint of approval in Forrest Quinn's sideways glance, but his expression remained impassive as they crested a hill and Whispering Pines came into view. The town wasn't large, perhaps 30 buildings strung along a main street, with houses scattered beyond, but it appeared more established than Sophia had feared. "Home sweet home," Forrest murmured, though something in his tone suggested all was not well. As they rolled down the main street, Sophia noticed the stares directed at their wagon, or more specifically, at Forrest. There was a tension in the air she couldn't quite understand. Outside the doctor's office, Forrest's ranch hands waited with their horses. "How's Barton?" Forrest called to a young cowboy as they pulled up. "Doc says he'll live. Bullet went clean through." Forrest nodded, then turned to Sophia. "Martha's place is just down the street. White house with the blue trim." "Thank you for your assistance, Mr. Quinn," Sophia said formally, though she felt oddly reluctant to part ways with her rescuer. "Miss Warren, He tipped his hat, his expression unreadable as she gathered her skirts to climb down from the wagon. Before she could move, a burly man with an impressive mustache approached, his silver sheriff's badge catching the afternoon sunlight. "Quinn," he acknowledged, his tone frigid. "Heard there was trouble at Cottonwood Pass." "Nothing we couldn't handle, Sheriff Blackburn," Forrest replied evenly. The sheriff's eyes shifted to Sophia, softening slightly. "You must be Martha's cousin. Town's been expecting you." "Yes, Sophia Warren," she confirmed, accepting his help down from the wagon. "I understand I have Mr. Quinn to thank for arriving safely." Something passed between the two men that Sophia couldn't interpret, a tension as taut as a bowstring. "You should know," Sheriff Blackburn said carefully, "that folks around here have complicated feelings about the Triple Q and its owner." Forrest's jaw tightened. "Miss Warren doesn't need to be burdened with local politics her first day in town, Sheriff. She should know who she's associating with." Sophia looked between them, confusion mounting. "I'm sure I'll have time to form my own opinions about the residents of Whispering Pines." Forrest's expression softened momentarily as he looked at her. "Good day, Miss Warren. Welcome to Whispering Pines." With a flick of the reins, he guided the wagon down the street, his ranch hands following. The sheriff watched them go with narrowed eyes before turning back to Sophia. "Let me escort you to Martha's. She'll be worried sick after hearing about the robbery." As they walked, Sophia couldn't help but ask, "What was that about, Sheriff? With Mr. Quinn?" Blackburn sighed heavily. "Forrest Quinn's been fighting a losing battle since his father died last year. Old man Quinn's will had some complications. Forrest has until the harvest moon less than 2 months from now to fulfill certain conditions, or the Triple Q goes to his cousin back east." "What conditions?" The sheriff hesitated. "Not my place to say, Miss Warren, but word travels fast in small towns. You'll hear soon enough." Martha's welcome was effusive and emotional, full of gratitude that Sophia had survived the robbery unscathed. After a hearty meal and a much-needed bath, Sophia found herself in a small but comfortable bedroom beneath the eaves of her cousin's home, staring out at the stars scattered across the vast western sky. Her thoughts drifted to Forrest Quinn's piercing blue eyes and the mystery surrounding him. Something told her their paths would cross again, and soon. For the next 2 weeks, Sophia threw herself into preparations for the school term.